So here we have an example of a problem where we calculate the direct materials price variance and the direct materials quantity variance. We're given this information about the standards to manufacture 1 unit of product C. So our standard quantity for direct materials is to use 4 yards of the direct materials, and the standard price per yard is $3.50. Therefore, the standard direct materials cost per unit to make 1 unit of product C would be $14. So now we see in this paragraph that the company manufactured 18,000 units of product during the year. A total of 70,200 yards of material was purchased during the year at a cost of $3.75 per yard. So this is the actual information, the actual quantity, and the actual price paid per yard. And by the way, all of this material, all of the 70,200 yards, was used to manufacture the 18,000 units of product. Later, we're going to find out how we work these problems differently when we don't use all of the raw materials that we purchased. But for this problem, we used all that we purchased, and so that's the actual quantity we're going to use. So we're going to compute the direct materials price and quantity variances for the year. So the price variance, we need to figure out the difference in price, meaning the difference between what our standard was, $3.50 per yard, and what we actually paid, $3.75 per yard. And the difference in price is 25 cents per yard, and we're going to multiply the difference in price by the actual quantity of 70,200 yards that we actually purchased and used. And our answer represents an unfavorable price variance because we actually paid more than what the standard says we should pay. Our quantity variance, we're going to start by calculating the difference in quantity, so the difference between what we should have used and what we did use. What we should have used is we should use 4 yards per unit of product. And since we made 18,000 units of product, we should have used 72,000 yards. But we actually used just 70,200. So that difference in quantity between what we did use and what we should have used, that represents our difference in quantity. And we multiply the difference in quantity by the standard price of the direct materials, which is $3.50 per yard. And our answer of 6,300 represents our favorable quantity variance. And it's favorable because we actually use less than we should have. So when we combine our unfavorable price variance with our favorable quantity variance, we get a net overall spending variance of 11,250 unfavorable. So I took the difference between the two to get this number, and it's unfavorable because the unfavorable variance was bigger than the favorable variance. And as a double check, I can figure out the total actual cost by taking the actual quantity times the actual price paid per yard to get the actual total, and compare that with what the total standard cost should have been for making 18,000 units of product. And the standard cost would be the standard quantity of 72,000 yards that we calculated up here, multiplied by the standard price per yard. So that gives us the standard total cost And we can see that the difference of 11,250 is exactly what we got up here when we combined the price and quantity variances.